Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to LCK Spring 2019. Jin Air fell to SANDBOX in game number 1, but we assure you, they will fight back for game number 2. LS said the writing's on the wall for a Jin Air win, and unfortunately, they're going to fall down in game number 1, so it's not going to be a 2-0. However, they might be able to claim 1 point if they can get back on top, but unfortunately, I don't think this is actually going to help us when it comes to reaching equilibrium with Griffin. As we're now going to go through a few subs, guys, and we're going to be here for a while. Because TaNa's making his way in. Malrang's making his way in also. We are also going to see CheonGo in the mid lane. And then Stitch is going to roll on through into the AD carry position. And Kellin is heading straight into that of the support position. So we have the full swap, this full switcheroo, as everyone's going to get some game time today. So Jin Air just wanting to throw through the remainder of their roster.
So they're going from coach class to business class now. Oh, that's what this swap is all about.
Okay.
Okay.
Explain to me why. Is that where it ends? Is it just you've got the reference, you've got no reasoning behind the reference? Just want to make another aeroplane joke? Is that what we're doing, LS? Is that where we are?
That's where we're at right now.
All right, cool. Just needed to make sure. Wanted to get on top of it so that we're on the same page.
One of the planes was on fire, so they just had to jump ship to another one.
We just switched camera to a new plane. It's like things going wrong on this one. Whoopsies. Here's the next one in queue. But all jokes aside, this does certainly show a team in turmoil. On the side of Jin Air, they're just going to throw everyone out and accept their brand new squad. And I'm actually just excited to see Stitch again, man. We've seen him in one game. He got to play Tristana. It didn't work, but that wasn't his fault. And I've missed Stitch, you know? It's been a hot minute since the old Stitch on Samsung, you know?
Stitch.
Yeah.
Where do you get that one?
What do you think he's referencing?
I
think
don't
he's
know.
referencing
Lilo
like
and
drinking
Stitch?
too much and then running?
Maybe Lilo and Stitch.
Oh yeah.
That was a very cute animated character.
He was a great character, and he was a bit feisty and interesting, you know. And if you're an AD carry and you play like him, that's cool.
And Willems.
Yeah.
You know.
Except a little bit more weird. I think. I like it. Anyway, I want to see what Stitch is actually capable of here. It's been a while since we've seen him hit the Rift. It was a few weeks ago that he did have that one game. You can see him on your screen right there. So welcome back to the Jin Air squad, Stitch. The other question marks are, like, is Malrang going to be playing? It is, you know,
is
full force.
Going to be level 3 at 6 minutes? That's the big question for me. Is he going to clear 3 camps, arbitrarily look for a gank, all while ignoring that trinket wards are a thing that had just been placed?
Yeah,
And will he proceed to wait in a brush, begging the opponents to make mistakes? That's what I'm waiting for.
Well, only time will tell. We're going to have to get through the draft first to find out exactly what champions we're going to be fielding here, because one thing that this does do, switching out all of your players, is it does allow for you to have a lot more flexibility when it comes to the draft. And also, Game 1 means absolutely nothing when it comes to mentality, because you've just got a brand new squad that have hit the Rift. So not a lot of learnings that you can take on the side of SANDBOX moving into this draft. So it feels like another Game 1, but we've just switched the side. So SANDBOX on the blue, Jin Air going to be on the red as we get into Champion Select for game number 2.
And let's see how SANDBOX is going to start things off. Nocturne being banned away from Malrang.
Yeah, Malrang not going to be able to get that one. Not necessarily a Malrang champion that comes to mind. For me, it's like Xin and Jax, sort of like his personal favorites. We'll see what they're going to follow this up with. There's the LeBlanc taken away from Dove. Makes sense after his Game 1 performance, despite Summit grabbing the MVP. My personal MVP was Dove. Got a lot of damage done, got a lot of things sorted out in the early game as Kalista. Not going to be played by Stitch this game. Certainly was a favorite of his back in the day.
Kalista is the champion of the Holy Trinity that you do try to focus away of the Kalista Galio Thresh.
Yeah.
Because if you just ban Thresh with the Galio, it still doesn't change that the problem still exists. So just banning that and getting it off the table is completely fine. Zoe now banned away as well.
And Silas is also going to hit the bench, so still a lot of things are available. The Lucian stands out. The Vladimir stands out as well. If we go back to game number 1, it was Kalista, Yasuo, Ryze, Lucian, Jace, Tahm Kench. So basically none of those, bar the Kalista, have been banned this time. So a Jace first pick for Summit is standing out like a sore thumb, and that's why Jin Air are going to ban that one away, meaning that Lucian can go into the hands of Ghost if he would like it.
So now I'm wondering if they want to just lock in the Ezreal for Ghost. Instead, though, hovering Lucian.
Aha! Atlas manages to get at least one prediction correct as Jin Air, we'll see whether they have some surprises for us now that there's their turn.
Jin Air now hovering the Braum.
Alright, so I actually don't necessarily like Braum as much. I feel like if you now have the opportunity to pick up like either Thresh or the Galio, one of the Joker picks, to deny that one from him, maybe get him squirming just a little bit. But Braum is going to be picked up just to deny the Lucian-Braum synergy. I think that is fine.
Lissandra. And so this is interesting early on with Zoe already having been taken off the table. I mean, there's still Syndra, there's also Orianna. Ryze also exists as well. This is a very early Lissandra pick.
Well, the Ryze would certainly be a flex if they were to lock that one in. 8 seconds to go before that one is guaranteed. We saw Keen do phenomenal things on the champion game number 1 for the FLICKR Freaks. That's why it was banned every other game and was in fact last banned by Jin Air in game number 1. And the Olaf is going to come up alongside it. So as far as the gank squad is concerned, Ryze, See Hero, Kill Hero was the original M5 idea. Moscow 5 from Season 2. Really popularizing. Just put someone in a room prison and kill him. And Olaf up alongside it works very, very well as Malrang thinking about putting on his Lee Sin pants, and he's going to be able to get in there with the Blind Monk.
And now at this point we move into the second ban phase. Probably just try to target supports for the Lucian and neutralize him down. As Thresh is now banned away, and if you're SANDBOX aside, you probably try to pinch the 80 carries, I am assuming. As there's no point, I mean, I guess you could ban away the Yorick. There's two options here. You either ban away the 80 carries, or you pinch Yorick and then wait to see what Jin Air ends up responding with for a final ban. Okay, so the Ezreal is actually banned away first.
I don't mind the Ezreal ban here. I think it's actually pretty smart.
Yep.
Making sure that Stitch can't get onto a potential power pick here when it's Lucian, not like a Draven that can theoretically punish that lane. Shen is going to be banned away, so now Joker is basically priced in to picking Galio.
Maybe Kai'Sa ban here as well. It's either Kai'Sa or Yorick, I'm assuming at this point of the ban phase. Okay.
Yeah, okay, so Yorick is going to be the one
I got
is
the
picked up. There you are. You got the predictions.
I'm
You got
coming
it
back.
sorted
Here
out.
comes Draven.
All right.
Like
okay.
what we just said.
Well, Stitch is thinking about it. 15 seconds to go.
Nope,
oh,
nope.
no, really? Really?
Nope.
Come on, mate.
Nope. Nope.
I like the Ashe, though. We've got 3 out of 4 Freljordian champions.
All right, so the one thing that Ashe does have going for it is that there is the Lissandra, there is the Braum. There is a massive
They're from
amount
the same
of picks.
place.
So now SANDBOX is going to say, thank you for showing that early. Allow me to go Tahm Kench or Morgana.
Uh-huh.
And that's what they're showing now.
Ooh, look at this. It's a draft that's actually working.
And I suppose for top lane blind, when you already have access to the Ryze, you could just go for the Vladimir, actually. Because there's not going to be another answer to him, and it's blue side Vlad. Aatrox is atrocious. I am so sorry. It's just such a terrible champion. The entire purpose of the enemy team composition is to skirmish you close range, lock you up, CC you, all of which Aatrox hates, and you just last pick it. Atlas?
Take it away. I'm leaving, says LS. Okay, no. There is one saving grace here, and that is the fact that Summit has been the only other player that can play Aatrox in a lane and have it work, as TaNa is looking to punish it here with the Irelia locked in. Can, of course, still switch things between CheonGo and TaNa, but I like CheonGo on something more like the Lissandra in the mid lane. Now we'll see how things go Have to wait until 20 seconds just to make sure that we know exactly where everything's going. I mean, the other opportunity is for, you know, the whole top side of SANDBOX to switch around as well.
The issue is that since the Aatrox changes, he can't actually go up against Lissandra all that well anymore because he doesn't have the healing. And so Lissandra Q poke in the way that she's able to cheat the laning phase by simply endlessly pushing with Q. A little bit of flex fight happening right there, but we end up getting the standardized lane. So a little bit of a nightmare situation here. Ryze is being forced to take cleanse because he's up against the Lissandra. And because of this, it means that Lissandra's able to continue being a cheater champion by pressing Q on the wave 3 times, backing up, waiting for the next wave, Q3 more times, and then deciding to teleport as the enemy is out of mana. So, Aatrox, Olaf, Ryze, Lucian, and Morgana, for what started off as a relatively good team composition, has now devolved into a 2-item power spike in which, if the opponent ever gets the smallest lead, you have no chance of salvaging the game state. Now, on the flip side, for the Jin Air GreenWings, the best draft chance they've had all night, Ashe, Braum, Lissandra, Lucian, and Irelia. They have 2 winning lanes with a winning jungler matchup.
Oh man, isn't that
beautiful? And both of the winning lanes can just take over the game entirely because Lissandra's a cheater champion and so is Irelia. You get hit by a stun, deleted.
And cheater champions are exactly what Jin Air needs to try and fight their way back in here because honestly, it's looking like they don't have a lot of chances so far in the LCK. This could be their opportunity to double their amount of victories here in the LCK. Let's see if they can do it.
The crowd knows.
Yeah, they certainly
know.
They're like, if we're not going to do it here, we're not going to do it at all. As actually, you know, I don't mind the fact that SANDBOX have once again gone for the 1-2 item power spike because this is a team that has been able to consistently snowball. Their early to mid game has been fantastic, and I feel like their late game has been where they've struggled as far as making the right calls with the champions that they have. So get themselves a lead. It's now TaNa. Oh, he's going to get bound. That's a good double stun to come through, but it's still a flash now down on the top laner.
And that's really sad. I guess it's fortunate for him that it only comes in at 1 minute, so he'll have it back up by 6 minutes, but definitely takes away from the solo kill potential. I want to point out something interesting by Dove here, is he's going up against cheater champion Lissandra in mid lane, who just wants to push in the first 4 waves with Q, doesn't care about her mana, doesn't care about her HP, uses the corrupting potions, recalls, teleports, comes into lane, you're out of mana. And Dove elected to try to combat this with a Dark Seal and a refillable potion, which, Atlas, let me fill you in.
Fill me in, please.
That doesn't sustain your mana that well.
No. In fact, it doesn't at all. So I'm along there with you.
Every day.
It's a little bit perplexing. We'll see whether it works.
Lissandra already off to a good start here, attempting to crash on the wave. Did miss 33% of the minions.
It's not exactly the greatest news, but his job is to shove.
Here we go, here we go, here we go. Look at this, magnificent. Ready? Ready?
Wait for the Q.
The epitome.
Oh, sets it up, misses one of them. But do you know what he's doing? He's shoving it into the turret. Ready? And that's what you said he should do. He's hit by a spell flux there. As you can see, Kellin's been missing every Winter's Bite, but Stitch is playing very aggressively on the Ashe. Of course, one thing that is very underrated with Ashe is her laning potential. Her laning power is very, very strong. So, especially in the earlier levels where you can keep yourself pretty immune to ganks, is the sidesteps of these AD carries. It's been pretty impressive so far.
Another cheater champ right there. Able to locate the jungler at will.
Oh, man.
That
the
is
triple cheater champion composition.
This is the lengths that Jin Air is going to now.
Yeah.
To try to win these games, so.
And you have to remember as well, the SANDBOX players are tired.
What TaNa's doing right here is he's doing Summit a favor. What you'll have noticed is that there was a lot of blue minions that was going to guarantee that several spellcasters and the cannons were going to die, but TaNa wanted to keep auto-attacking and clearing the minions down because that.
Is that something that you've had experience with in some of your coaching on stream?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because I personally, you know, I've watched a few of those, and I've noticed that it's a little bit, do you know that Kitchen Nightmares show? It's a little bit like that when people decide to just auto-attack minions. especially on the top side of the map. We'll see whether it works for TaNa, though, because in competitive, it's a little bit different because things called lane priority do exist. So the more you push forward, the more you're going to allow your jungler to play more aggressively. Piercing Light is going to tag Stitch there, but so far, things have been relatively even here on the bottom side of the map, and we've just been really wanting to see Stitch, wanting to see more, and finally, he comes in. It takes an entire team switch, but that does mean that Stitch gets down there. So exciting to see. Is now Malrang
Lane's
make
coming
his way
in
towards the top.
So this is really good lane setup right now for Malrang. And
He's gone home. Alright.
What?
The Kitchen Nightmares moments coming in.
He only had to wait like 20 seconds. He doesn't have anywhere to be right now.
Well, Infernal Chain's going to get broken there, as at least the passive is going to get a decent trade. Darkened Blade working out there for him. And now we're going to have OnFleek making his journey up, but good vision available here from TaNa. Remember, doesn't have his flash. Still another minute and a half, something like that. And that vision is now going to be spotted, so TaNa not exactly having the greatest time, but Ionian Fervor is available. So he'll back up again with that on hit, as well as wanting to be able to stack up the Conqueror. Summit decided not to take. He's of course got the Grasp of the Undying.
And interestingly enough, CheonGo did not utilize the teleport early on, did not try to attack Ryze's mana pool, and instead we will be having a reset even mid lane. So much for that.
Yeah. So the cheating didn't happen. I'm okay with
Not
that. Flash
occur.
from Summit to dive on top of TaNa. They know that he ain't going anywhere. First blood goes over to the Olaf. This is not what we saw from Punch earlier on. This is an Olaf played with a lot of aggression in the early game and looks great for SANDBOX.
Yeah, and they knew that TaNa still doesn't have the flash available because of the initial Morgana play at the very beginning, locking him up in the tri-brush below the top tier 1 turret. And meanwhile, Jin Air, Malrang is preoccupied getting the Cloud Drake. And after that, he'll probably just end up full clearing his jungle bottom to top.
Ocean going to be the next one, so once again we're going to have the RNG not necessarily working out in their favor, as TaNa comes in, and I believe, did he get the reset actually on that one? I think he might have, but doesn't actually matter, as the Infernal Chain's arm, and that was almost just an entire solo kill coming in from Summit.
Yeah.
But OnFleek was there, so wanted to capitalize. Takes away the kill.
And so right now, Dove coming back into mid lane. He has his tier complete, he has the cleanse. CheonGo has not utilized his teleport whatsoever. Still doesn't have the Lost Chapter, not taking the Dark Seal approach either, and so this is very peculiar play, especially because Malrang actually opened the way that he was supposed to relative to what his lanes were. He full cleared. He had a potential gank setup starting for him up in top lane, recalled a little bit prematurely.
Yeah. And is there a reason to hold on to your teleport for this particular composition as well on the side of Jin Air? I mean, you can understand that you want to try and answer ganks around the map, things like that, but he didn't when TaNa got locked down, things like that. It was just going to be too late. Is there a potential reason that you'd want to hold on to it?
Well, see, I'm always very vocal about you don't want to assume or have to calculate into your game plan that your opponents will make mistakes.
Yeah.
That's not a way to approach the game. So even if we're saying that, okay, well, we have this teleport on the Lissandra, can we somehow capitalize off it? Well, Ashe and Braum can't magically set up and alter the lane because they don't have that much initial control, and Irelia doesn't need the assistance. So it should just all be for Lissandra.
1v1 is working out here for both Summit and TaNa. TaNa's just trying to wait out the world ender, does use the flash as OnFleek makes his way back up yet again. Jin Air a little bit slower on the rotation, good stun, but outside of turret range. As now Dove, he comes up, and the jig is up. Ultimate is going to be traded there, but flash down for TaNa
Ryze?
as soon as it comes back up again.
Looked like almost Ryze was going to be able to potentially steal that away. Now TaNa does have teleport.
Visual bug, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not quite coming in just yet.
All
right, good top lane sense there from TaNa. Moves himself back under the turret.
Malrang now waiting for OnFleek. OnFleek does have his ultimate available, but if he ends up using it, I do believe that the Blast Cone doesn't do anything.
Yeah, and vision available here as he walks on over. Malrang, I believe, may have actually shown himself there. As you can see, Summit's going to move on over. Face checks. Doesn't have the ult, remember, as CheonGo is going to be able to move up, but Realm Warp is going to be there. Blast Cone used. Arrow's going to go wide, and SANDBOX are trying to collapse on one of the members of Jin Air as they move on in. The Brambleback's going to reset, and so is Jin Air. So no harm, no foul. Both teams going to move on back. Are you okay, LS?
Yeah. What we just saw right there was just a great, immaculate defense from Jin Air over the red buff.
I'm sensing some sarcasm, but I didn't think it was all that bad, actually.
Nonetheless, Malrang ended up showing himself to the Aatrox, and so the jig was indeed up. Aatrox pathing towards that breath, but Malrang beelining up into top lane right now, and stun does not connect, but nothing was probably going to happen anyway.
Yeah, Umbral Dash was available and off cooldown, so he's fine.
Uh-oh. Oh, he's really trying to force this issue.
Yeah, we're looking for a dive. Does get the pullback as TaNa potentially just baiting here as he dives on forward, but Summit's just not losing his health bar. TaNa just doesn't offer too much damage with this Ninja Tabi early build, and the teleport's coming in. Jin Air are looking to try and force this one as much as possible. World Ender still on cooldown, and that means that that's an easy one for Jin Air to dive into on the top side, but that's teleport invested.
And that's actually a really big kill for them to get, because if Aatrox begins getting put into the grave, it's really difficult for him to stabilize and come back. And the teleport came at a perfect timing because it was a cannon wave in mid, which means that even if Ryze does get back into the mid lane and shoves it into Lissandra's turret, the turret takes an eternity to actually manage to kill the cannon, which gives Lissandra ample time to get back into the lane, potentially absorb the XP, or actually still clip the cannon right at the very end. That was very close.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised, actually, Joker isn't just trying to go around the left-hand side, look for the Scryer, and then hit it, because everyone knows that Ashe cannot stay in this lane anymore. But Ashe's arrow.
Oh, no.
Huh?
Doesn't land, okay. We've got Ghost doing a fair bit of damage onto Malrang here. Has to flash. Ghost already used his. Relentless Pursuit not quite there, and maybe even didn't have the mana. That was a bit of a cavalcade of errors, wasn't it?
That was interesting. Did Stitch have vision and just whiffed it anyway? Because if he just used Hawk Shot.
Ah, right. Maybe he's used Hawk Shot. That's where he was, but then moved over in order to back.
That would be...
I want to give him benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
As Malrang's going to start the second Drake, but they're going to trade it for the Rift Herald. Jin Air will move on up and look to try and help him out here. Okay, SANDBOX though, they've still got a long time to use this Rift Herald and get some of these turret plates, be it mid lane, be it bot lane. Still a lot of them available here for SANDBOX. As I believe Ocean Drake actually, not going to get finished off. And in fact, doesn't fully reset. So SANDBOX, cake and eat it too for them as they take the Rift Herald and take the Ocean Drake.
And Irelia now up in top lane. She's up quite a bit, actually, in the CS department, despite the early game pressure that ended up coming her way.
Spends her flash early, and then gets ganked very early as well for first blood onto OnFleek. And then was still able to win out in the lane.
This is looking really cute. Here we go.
Yeah, back is going to come forward. Here is Dove, not window shopping at all. Does use his flash, but trades it for CheonGo's. And theoretically, it is an advantage onto Jin Air because they do get the cleanse as well.
Atlas, why did he flash instead of just using E?
I don't know. What do you mean? Oh, right. Why did CheonGo flash instead of using E? Yeah, look. I thought you were talking about Dove. I'm like, I mean, E wouldn't have helped. Like, but yeah, no, you're right. That's a toughie. As Summit has to ult, wants to get under the safety of his turret. Infernal Chains going to come on down there, but Summit does need to be very careful. And now, no World Ender, has to enter the middle of the lane, and that means he has to go back home.
And he doesn't have teleport, which means that TaNa, with still 1 minute remaining on these plates, Olaf is going to have to make a quick trip up to top lane, or this is about to be a kill going TaNa's way if he can manage to get 2 plates here.
And it's another example of Rift Herald really going underutilized as you've got 30 seconds remaining on that Rift Herald, and I don't think that they're going to be able to get that minion wave to that top lane outer turret. So a bit of a disaster here. 2 plates do remain there up the top side of the map, but TaNa's really having a day out on the Irelia at this stage.
Yeah, he's up almost 40 CS. Now Aatrox is back in the lane. And Summit trying to Oh,
no, his back is going to get stopped.
Well, Lucian's here. This is actually the great bait.
Well, might actually work out here as Olaf going to be much further behind. Summit does have flash as he's trying to get out. Umbral Dash is there as well. Olaf will turn up as TaNa Infernal Chains lands. He's not going anywhere, but Blade Surge does come forward. Just straight up whiffs the stun, though. And OnFleek is going to pick up the kill.
And Rift Herald now going to be summoned by SANDBOX. They're going to try to use this to capture the top tier 1 turret. I
like that. This is LS's new strategy. Pivot away from the play so you just don't need to talk about it and talk about the next thing. That's really good, man. I think we're improving. We really are. It's a journey. We're all on the journey with you, and we're witnessing so many good things. As tower goes down up towards the top side, SANDBOX make the best of what was a good situation, but one that TaNa honestly delivered to them. But he's still winning. He's still got a pretty big advantage up towards that top side. And yes, Shelly does get herself a double charge. But otherwise, it's not lights out here for Jin Air by any means. And they're not even 1,000 gold behind. At 15 minutes.
Yeah. Jin Air is actually in a really good spot. Now, let's take a look at this one more time. What you're going to see here is Malrang comes up, can't quite locate the R key prior to Summit flashing away and then getting into vicinity of Olaf. A little bit of a different page here as the safeguard not wanting to be used into the kick, as then Olaf would end up gobbling up the Lee Sin as well for sure.
Yeah. A little bit of some of the problems that we've illustrated about Malrang when it comes to the mid-game and early game.
I was just really greedy, holding
exactly.
the ultimate for absolutely no reason. There's no way that you can assume that you would need to use it in the near future.
Wow. That was very close and very dangerous. Thankfully, he actually, so he has Ninja Tabi, and I think they saved his life.
Yeah.
Just then. Not building for his lane. Yeah, there's 2 Ninja Tabi.
What if
one on
one
each
foot has
shoot?
it?
I mean, Ryze has 2 feet, so I assume you get a 2-for-1 special in the shop.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll let you pass on that one.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I was worried. I was worried that I wasn't going to get a pass there. I was getting a bit scared.
Well, now you're saved, so.
Oh, thank goodness.
Talking about saved, though, Jin Air is looking like they're going to be able to transition to the point that we talked about in the pick ban, where there is a fundamental core problem with the SANDBOX draft. They're all very short range. The enemy team has a Lissandra.
They do.
Irelia is a good champion. And there is a lot of CC and lockups. Yes, you have an invulnerability on the Olaf. Yes, you have the Morgana Black Shield. But the real issue is, how do your carries actually reliably get into the fight without also putting themselves in compromising situations?
Well, that is yet to be seen at this point in time. At the moment, the early game has gone just fine for SANDBOX. There's Dove here towards the bottom side, and OnFleek is just going to find Malrang and safeguard his way out. Some damage landing here from Dove, though, and this is one of the scary things, is that Ryze is this champion that sort of sits back, and then all of a sudden he does about 1 billion damage. His Ghost is in trouble, but not going to get stunned up just yet, as the Black Shield is available. OnFleek comes on in, and you've got bottom lane just transitioning towards the mid lane, just keeping things in order, much as you would see in many of the other games. This tower still getting attacked up towards the top side of the map as well from TaNa. Infernal Chains do come in there, but at least a lot of that damage is mitigated. It's not that Infernal Chains necessarily does a lot of damage, though. And Ocean Drake has now spawned.
Ocean Drake definitely not the biggest priority for either of these teams, though.
Wow, Ghost actually just got tagged by almost everything just there as TaNa is going to make first rotation. CheonGo in trouble, though, and they need the Lissandra. The arrow is just going to go straight up wide, but why were you throwing it at a Morgana or at an Olaf? Odd decision coming in here.
Alice, he wasn't throwing it at either. He was trying to join the New England Patriots.
Ah,
so
right,
that's
okay. That was
going on there.
definitely a field goal. I'll give that one to you. Now, as a Aussie Rules football enthusiast, I'm all about getting it between the posts. You know, because that's what you got to do in that game.
Oh, what is football called in Australia?
football.
Is it really?
Yeah, we
Just
call
like
it
American.
footy. We call it footy, but that's
Okay.
because we're Australians and we like to make words as short as possible. If we
Okay.
can.
Definitely not bad.
Yep.
What is So I actually don't know this. What is American football called in Europe?
I think it's. I think we call it American football.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, is that actually it?
Yeah. Nailed it.
I like how you said we. You're an imposter. You're not Australian.
Actually, that's a good point. I mean, my heritage is theoretically English.
Okay.
A couple of generations back.
No,
but
just a little bit.
yeah.
Maybe 800 years or so.
Oh, you know Australia? You know how old Australia is?
No, actually I don't.
200 years old, dude.
I'm from America. So
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
you gotta
nice.
forgive me.
Australia ain't been around.
Probably can't
for-
even locate Australia on a map. You know.
Yeah. So as far as the colonization is concerned, it has been only a few hundred years.
Really?
Couple of hundred years.
Do you know that I believe the South Korean language is only 500 years old or something? It's like 600 years old.
Really?
It's one of the newest languages. Yeah.
I don't think it's even that old. I think it's actually quite new. Yeah. I know it's one of the newest
Yeah.
languages, but I think it was even earlier than.
Or maybe the written. I'm not sure. Now you're making me insecure.
I'm sorry. We'll do some research in between games 2 and 3. The written one was more late. We're getting confirmation from G-Sun, so thankfully someone actually knows. And so LS, you are right. No need to be
Thank you.
self-conscious. You were correct, of course.
Right.
We'll have to get exact numbers there. We'll get the stats team on it.
We're in the lull state right now, so
Yeah.
just feel free to lean back.
450 years old. See?
I was pretty close.
You were pretty close, but I was still correct, so we're both right.
All right.
Isn't that perfect?
Perfect synergy.
Aw, thanks, G-Sun. If you lied about that just to help our egos, then I really appreciate it.
Have you seen the new Pokemon games?
I have. Sword and Shield? I'm pretty excited.
I wish that they went a different direction with the starters. Every single time, it's water, fire, grass. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Why can't they mix it up once? Can you give me a psychic, dark, and lightning or something, you know? Why does it always have to be water, fire, grass?
Because it has to be, so you need to have elements that then sort of rock, paper, scissors each other, right? So you'll need to find another set of those elements. That's what you'll have to do. So try again. Can we?
Okay.
Can we
All right,
get?
I'll try again.
Can we get another one? Let's
yes,
get another one.
A Freaka KT Jin Air.
Wait. What does Jin Air beat? This is rock, paper, scissors. You fundamentally lost the game. Oh no. Oh no. Poor Jin Air. Right now, they're in a decent position to beat SANDBOX. Only 400 gold behind. Well, actually, no, it's 1.3k, but 400 sounds way better. As the Irelia is scaling up, CheonGo on this Lissandra has some items, hasn't died, has a gold bounty of 500. Things are going pretty well here as the arrow is thrown out onto Joker.
Trying to hit a champion that has CC invulnerability.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure. That is quite a strong shield. I need to get yourself a man that can do that.
Yeah, I think so. As Stitch gets bound, but half the health bar on the turret is going to get taken here.
And this is all great, actually. To be completely honest, for Jin Air GreenWings, the Irelia is continuing to scale. Now, on the flip side, Ryze is also continuing to scale. But again, SANDBOX will find themselves in the same predicament we talked about earlier. Now, you'll notice that there's a Wolf Camp and a Gromp Camp up, but Malrang is feeling obligated. He is compelled to be here, stealing CS and XP away from his teammates.
Oh no, and TaNa has to be a good guy and rubber band the camp for him there as well because he's not quite in position. We'll head over to his Wolf Camp now, so the jungle is going to be pretty barren. Camp is alive in the Krug department on the top side. Otherwise, not too much of a big deal here. Is Summit's going to make his way forward, and Realm Warp is going to come in, but TaNa should be able to flash to get himself to safety. As Summit does land the Infernal Chains, the pullback, max range as TaNa knows he has to commit because he has no way out. And of course, he's gone straight to the Death Chamber. The Irelia tried. It didn't quite work out there as the Death Squad of Aatrox and Ryze too strong.
And it really didn't look like that was going to work, but SANDBOX, they really forced the agenda. Now, the unfortunate thing here is that OnFleek...
Well, he's really, really tanky right here as Malrang goes immediately into his stopwatch. Odd decision, 2 versus 1 there, but the flash forward from OnFleek, the arrow not going to land. That's another beautiful field goal.
Well, now we return to the wall set here in mid lane.
All right, so we can get back to it. So we're gonna go back to, okay, never mind. We'll commentate the siege while it's happening as CheonGo does throw out the claw, and they should be able to keep this one alive unless CheonGo's gonna get picked off. No, he's gonna go into his stopwatch as Summit does have the world ender. He can dive underneath this one. It's Kellin. One auto attack away from death as Summit wants to die. World ender just about to time out, but he does get himself back up to half health. This turret, 1 hit away from dead. Kellin in a similar situation. This should be the advantage going over to SANDBOX.
And this is definitely going to be the mid-tier 1 turret falling. And SANDBOX, they're going to find themselves with a 3rd Ocean Drake this game. We'll have to see what the... Now, you ready for this?
I'm ready for it.
Infernal is coming next.
All right. I'm guessing.
Here we go.
I'm guessing Cloud. I'm guessing Cloud. That's what I'm feeling. Oh my goodness, you're too good at this game. You are too good at this game.
And Jin Air is going to get that. Yeah. Jin Air will get it.
All right, okay.
All right.
That's where they turn it on. They wait for the good Drake. All right, I'm with you.
Turn the page.
This is the answer in the choose your own adventure?
Yeah.
Is that what we're getting to? Okay.
So now, 4.5 minutes until Jin Air flips this game on its head.
And so far, the advantage isn't even 3,000 just yet. Ardent Blaze to deter Kellin from going further forward. As our Joker just seems to be copping skill shots left, right, and center. Undertow flies in. Jin Air have set up shop here in this mid lane. And a lot of this vision is getting cleared out. There is a very cheeky control ward standing right next to where Jin Air are trying to get vision control, and CheonGo should be able to find it to take it down.
One of the really weird things here is Ashe's run animation. It looks like her legs are in slow-mo. And I just never really quite understood it. You know?
Yeah, like she's prancing. She's prancing a little bit, isn't she?
I just don't think it's natural to have your legs move like that. Let's just watch when it gets back onto her. You'll see what I mean. See, Lissandra moves normal. Olaf, his legs are moving normal.
Lissandra doesn't even have legs.
She just has a great dress.
Have you seen Big Hero 6?
Have you seen the Grammys?
Yes.
All right, so you've seen these outrageous dresses. That's all that she's doing.
Yeah, but have you seen how the things move around?
Look at her, look at her, look at her. What is that?
It's a prance. She's prancing.
Legs don't move like that, Atlas.
Don't they? I don't know.
Now you're making me...
I'm starting to doubt everything. But like, look at Lissandra. See how the things move around? Have you seen Big Hero 6?
No.
You know the microbots, like in the movie?
I just said no, I haven't seen it.
All right, you haven't seen it. Never mind. Okay, well, you need to see it. It's adorable. Okay. It's absolutely adorable. It's a really great movie. But the little microbots actually do build together to sort of like create like an extra sort of leg situation, and you can use them to walk around. And it does look exactly like that.
All right.
Yeah, I'm sure someone can link us a video or something like that and let us know on Twitter.
All right.
Big Hero 6 is a great movie, man. You really got to watch it. Really got to watch it.
Do you know what's coming out in 4 days in Korea?
Captain Marvel?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We get it before the rest of the world, I think.
We've had a chat about this already. I'm pretty excited.
I am really excited. I'm going to go to that. I'm going to see it twice, actually. On
the really?
Yes.
All right. I was actually having a chat to one of my friends, Paper Thin, another one of the commentators out here in Korea, and he's also very excited, but he's a huge Marvel Comics fan, so he's got a lot of expectations. I'm personally not one. I read a lot of Asterix and Tintin in my time, not as much.
Do you have a favorite Marvel superhero?
No, not really. Sorry. I mean, I do. I like Thor, but mostly because of the movies, not for anything else.
Makes sense.
All right, Arrow once again going to miss. Stitch is getting real good at this one. He's picking gaps. There are a lot of SANDBOX members there, but weaves its way all the way through. TaNa might be caught out here in transition. Doesn't land his stun. Humble dash is, of course, very, very short. And SANDBOX just get themselves in a better position. Try and get the siege happening on this inner turret.
Teleport coming in.
Yeah, they're looking for it. Inner turret does go down, but can they win this fight as Jin Air? They throw out the ultimate. The Vanguard's Edge is in the back line. As now TaNa's diving forward. CheonGo very low on health, though, and the World Ender is all they're able to get. TaNa trying to run for the hills, but SANDBOX They lose no one in that sandwich.
Yeah, they lost absolutely no one, and one of the main problems here is that Stitch didn't have his ultimate. So while this fight was going on, the Enchanted Crystal Arrow not being available wasn't able to follow up on that engage after the Black Shield was down.
Yeah.
And this is completely fine because 59 seconds, SANDBOX will take the fight.
Well, at the moment, 29 minutes, as the Baron has been alive for 9 minutes on this map.
Triple Ocean, they might try to cheese the Baron.
Well, I mean, remember where their health bars were at earlier on. They are now basically full. So these triple oceans are doing some work. Remember, if you stack any Drake to 3, it's good in some way. Because you've either got incredible movement speed with the Cloud, but first let's have a look at this fight and see how it works.
We take a look at this, and Ashe, you can just see Ashe is not doing any damage whatsoever. She can't reliably get in here because none of the members are able to reliably be CC'd. So Lissandra escapes barely by the skin of her teeth. But now, 13 seconds. Not sure if Vanguard's Edge is actually going to be available. This is it. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
What we have been waiting for.
All right. Ashe has an Infinity Edge. That seems good. And the Infernal Drake is going to get taken by SANDBOX. Still waiting. Still waiting.
Is
this what we were waiting?
This is what we were waiting for.
Right, okay, because they can trade it for their own red buff. Nailed.
I said Infernal. I was just getting mixed up. Red Dragon, red buff.
It's an understandable mistake. They're on the red team. They don't need a red dragon. They're already red.
All right. Okay. Give it a second here.
Finally, that control ward actually gets taken down as they have soul vision around this Baron area. Jin Air with 5 members up here. They're pushing towards the bottom side, but OnFleek spent a lot of time towards the bot lane. They've started this up. Vision is going to be there. SANDBOX, Joker is going to make his way in, but remember, Morgana, very, very squishy. Dove throwing in skill shots, the culling thrown straight into the Unbreakable. And now SANDBOX thinking about heading towards the Baron themselves. This Ghost is just randomly getting shot by the dude. Okay, he's going to take about a third of his health bar.
Baron is on Jin Air's team. Here we go.
Oh, inside track into the inhibitor turret though. Jin Air don't quite know where they are as there we go. Realm Warp gets Dove over there. CheonGo thinks that he's in a good position to flank. But is he? As the Dark Binding lands onto Kellin, Stitch finally gets through, but the damage has been done. Base broken for SANDBOX.
And I don't know why Jin Air aren't pulling the trigger.
They're doing the do-si-do. They're being ran around the map.
Where's CheonGo going?
Looking for a flank, but that was thinking that SANDBOX were going to exit. As now Vanguard's Edge flies through. TaNa trying to get this one. Already some very low health bars. As Ghost has been taken down. TaNa trades his life now as Stitch. Very, very low, but OnFleek on the back line finds himself alone. The Guardian Angel's going to pop. CheonGo gets out with the claw. It's a 1-for-1 in the end, and it looks like SANDBOX still want to take it. CheonGo can't get out. The Infernal Chains are going to land. Kellin also dead. SANDBOX will take an inhibitor off the back of it from what looked like a pretty decent Jin Air trade.
And it looked like it was actually going to start off really good for Jin Air. I want to definitely see a replay of that fight to look at some other stuff that I guess I wasn't quite paying attention to at the different part of the screen. As Malrang now coming in here. The only hope for Jin Air to stay in this game is a Baron steal. Summit gonna go over the edge.
Yeah, and Malrang, it's just the hunt down. This is to make sure that Malrang can't steal away that Baron. Like you say, that could be game ending, as they're just gonna two-man it all too easily between Dove and OnFleek. The machine gun Ryze is well and truly online with his Seraph's Embrace. 4 items now as the Spellbinder gets completed. And let's have a look at this fight one more time, because like we said, I mean, this was a decent engage from TaNa. So and the arrow finally landed.
TaNa goes on to Ryze. The arrow did end up landing, but then TaNa locked down by the Ryze right there. So he went a little bit too far forward when he should have just been handling OnFleek and letting Ryze do the majority of things. Even though they end up getting Ghost, Ghost isn't the most problematic threat. As long as the Irelia lives and sustains through the fight, then SANDBOX isn't going to have too much to be able to do once the Olaf runs out of fuel and the Aatrox runs out of fuel. But Nonetheless, now, Infernal, Elder coming up in a minute and a half. Baron will persist through it.
And all of a sudden, it's a 7,000 gold lead, right? I feel like this game has exploded. And this is what happens when you play scared. You can understand why Jin Air do it, because they haven't won a series. They've won one game. As far as morale is concerned, you can guarantee that it is in the toilet. As the Jin Air B squad just unable to get anything done. The decision-making just straight up too scared. And they're going to lose, most likely, this inhibitor turret unless they can make a coordinated play. They've tried. They've got buttons available. A few flashes are there, but you can see, look, Dove just standing on top of a siege minion. And they're going to usher some minions into the mid lane there as well, looking to break the base on the bottom side of the map as well. 50 seconds, and Elder Drake will come up, and SANDBOX, you can imagine, happy to take it as CheonGo. He's going to flash on forward, but just not enough damage available. Kellin has to flash in order to get back, and SANDBOX are more than happy to take this fight. The kill does come in. The World Ender is great from Summit to keep him alive. He even has a Guardian Angel, and they'll say, well, okay, I guess we won't back away. We're going to look to win the game right here as Arrow going to be successful once again, but Dove immediately cleanses that one off and flashes forward, looks to punish as TaNa's taken down. Malrang and Stitch just looking on as their Nexus is obliterated, and Jin Air, unfortunately, yet again go down 0-2.
And this was another pretty classic example of Jin Air handshaking voluntarily a fight at the exact wrong time. And you have to wonder, if they're willing to go in right there, why aren't they willing to go in sooner when the game is much more even footing?
Well, I mean, you have to think about it in terms of how their season has gone, man. I feel like it is largely a gigantic lack of confidence. Remember, this was all players subbed. After game number 1, you can imagine things backstage are not feeling too great for Jin Air. All of this needs to be in context. We had this conversation during game number 1, but context is very important for Jin Air at the moment, because we haven't seen a team struggling this much in the LCK for so many years. Sonic Boom was the last team to have a series that was the worst, right? And they even made it to 8 game wins by the end of the second round robin. Do you see Jin Air finding another 7 game wins with already a few games down in the first round robin? I think it's almost mathematically impossible for that to happen. So we're going to have an unprecedentedly poor first spring split here for Jin Air in the LCK. And it's just really sad. Such a storied organization, but none of these players actually able to find themselves as a unit just yet. Because we know that there are pockets of brilliance from almost all of these players. And, yeah. It's just a depressing time, and it's going to be you and I actually casting the last Jin Air game of the season.
Which is
Jin Air versus Griffin.
You ever seen a white hole and a black hole collide?
What's a white hole? Like in space?
Jin Air.
Oh,
they just give everything out.
Why does that seems to always be your answer? It's just Jin Air, everyone. It seems too easy. I still want to know what your proposed new typings for Pokemon are, but unfortunately too much action ensued after that question.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
What are the types that counter each other? Hold on, does Fairy counter Psychic, right? And then Ghost counters Fairy, I think.
I think it's the other way around. Fairy's a really confusing type. It doesn't necessarily make sense. Dark counters Fairy.
Does Dark counter Fairy?
Yeah.
Okay, so Dark counters Fairy, and then what counters Dark?
Oh, wait, no. Fairy counters Dark. See, it is confusing. It is confusing.
Okay, but it's not confusing if you have been following the last couple of gens.
Yeah, that's true. That's right.
Right,
I mean, I played a fair bit of it, and
I would
Fairy's always been a really
have
weird
liked
type.
them to mix something up. I'm so tired of this.
Yeah, no, I understand. I do. And I mean, they tried to do it with the legendary birds, but like, unfortunately, like Zapdos was like too good because he wasn't super effectively hit by either of the other 2 birds. Yeah. And they also lost out on the base stats and just being good in general, which was a big problem. But I mean, different theories have certainly come. So I also struggle with that one. But let's focus back onto SANDBOX, who have found themselves yet again in a decent position, right? Like, we were expecting them to find a win here. That's absolutely true. But after losing to Kingzone 0-2, they weren't looking great. They lost to a FLICKR Freaks as well, 1-2, which was not great at all. And so now, FLICKR Freaks, they managed to pick up the last win. First bout in the second round robin, they were able to take down the Afrika Freaks, and now Jin Air are going to follow up. So despite the fact that it is Jin Air that they get a win against, it is still momentum here for SANDBOX, and still a solid win for them.
And like you were saying earlier, it's almost at the point where they are guaranteed for relegation.
Yeah. Yeah.
It has almost reached that stage.
Well, they're almost guaranteed to have the worst LCK split of all time.
Yeah.
That's almost what the territory that we're entering, right? And Papa's mentioned it many times on broadcast, just the level of depressing that this Jin Air run is, and it's difficult to cast. You know, it's difficult to talk about, but we have to be honest that it's just not a team that has very much hope in hell at this point in time. Speaking up too much, and those conversations about confidence and about lack of momentum really are important, because it comes down to psychology here at this stage. We've all had the tilt times where you just feel like you've forgotten how to win League of Legends.
If Summit or OnFleek do not get the MVP here, there is something seriously wrong.
I feel like OnFleek certainly played well this game.
Yep.
Dove also did a lot of damage.
He did do quite a lot. I could actually see Joker maybe getting it in a weird world. Dove did a lot of damage, but he wasn't the primary setup or playmaker for a lot of the things that ended up transpiring. Although Ghost did just flash a wall and auto-attack there, so I mean, he might be up for contention too.
Actually, unfortunately, he didn't auto-attack. He flashed the wall and piercing light, and then failed to pick up the kill because the auto-attack didn't come through. So I think he's out of contention just this time.
Okay.
As the first arrow to land, I believe, landed on the Ghost as well. So
it's looking like they're going to give it to Dove. I feel like he's the main focus of a lot of these highlights accompanied by Summit, so...
I think Summit's dives have really been great, though, and I think that illustrates exactly why I think SANDBOX is still a team that are allowed to pick up Aatrox and put him in a lane. I think Summit's ability to engage in mid to late game team fights is what sets him apart from the other Aatroxes that we've really had a lot of question marks on, right? So Summit certainly is a man apart when it comes to that particular pickup. And you can see right here, just able to play so far ahead, so far forward. TaNa had a day out, honestly, on the Irelia, but unfortunately, Jin Air just have never been able to have all of their players playing well and on the same page on the same day. It's just never happened. We've had that beautiful moment from Grace where they picked up a game win. Unable to follow it up with anything. You know, they've had Malrang picking up first bloods and getting things done in the early game, but just unfortunately, none of these pieces have actually landed.
And I'm always actually fascinated by how stuff like this can end up occurring, because you have to wonder, what is being discussed during streams? What is the coaching approach at this point? How do you actually manage the mental fortitude of a team that is losing this badly, this much?
Well, I mean, that's the question, right? And it can be very difficult, as Dove is going to be able to pick up the MVP, so that is going to be LS correct once again. Predictions for these MVPs. Pretty excellent thus far, especially in this series. As, the Machine Gun Ryze did a heck of a lot of work. And honestly, it was slow and steady.
Wins the race.
Yeah, and sadly, it should have worked out better for Jin Air based on what the compositions meant, but as Papa would say, it's a nameplates on scenario, where you have to understand who is the one on either side of the rift, and at the moment, SANDBOX tied. Not anymore, actually. They're up a couple of points here and a victory over SKT, but SKT have an opportunity to fight back tomorrow, in fact. But we are going to have a chat to some SANDBOX players, so let's throw it over to Jisung for some translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This will be today's last interview translation, and we're going to be joined by Summit and Dove from SANDBOX Gaming.
네, 서밋 선수 오늘 MVP 받으시면서 고스트
Summit,
선수랑
you tied up to
팀의
Ghost
공동 MVP 지금
with
달성하고
700
계세요.
MVP points.
오늘 내가 MVP구나 이렇게
Do you have
고스트 선수처럼
the lucky feeling
생각하셨나요?
that you're going to be the MVP today?
첫 번째 판 사일러스는 제가
Or for the first
생각해도
game, Silas?
나쁘지 않게 잘했기 때문에
I did
어느
well.
정도
I agree with
예측하고
that.
있었습니다.
So yeah,
네,
I
오늘
had some
사일러스의
predictions.
활약이 정말 빛났습니다. 승리 소감 부탁드릴게요.
So how do you feel about today's
오늘도
victory?
다행히 이겨서 연승을 이겨놔서
Well, I'm really happy,
그리고
or
다음
rather feel
경기들도
relieved that we
다
are able to
준비
extend
잘하고
this winning streak, and we're going to prepare
네, 다시
harder
한번
for our upcoming
축하드리고요.
series.
또 도브 선수는 그날
Dove.
안녕하고요 이후로 처음 이 자리에 오시는데
It has been a while since your
인사
first interviews,
부탁드립니다.
so any message for the fans?
안녕하세요. 여기
Hi,
미드라이너 도구입니다.
this is SANDBOX
네,
mid winner Dove.
반갑습니다. 자, 오늘 승리 소감 부탁드릴게요.
So how do you feel about today's victory?
일단은 이겨서 당연히 이겨서
Well,
기분은 많이 좋은데
I'm really happy that we got the win.
MVP까지 또 받을 줄은
But I
몰랐거든요.
actually didn't
그래서
expect this
더 많이
MVP.
기뻤던 것 같아요. 약간.
That makes me feel a bit
네,
more
오늘
happier.
MVP로 만나뵙게 돼서 정말 좋습니다. 자, 서밋 선수
Summit.
1세트에서 사일러스 들고
Game
나왔는데
one.
정말 해설진 분들도 모두 극찬을 할
Well, the Korean
정도였어요.
caster
이렇게
praised
잘하시는데
that
사실
they
사일러스가
saw
등장한 지좀
the best
됐거든요.
Silas
오늘 처음
so
듣고
far
나오신
in
이유가
LCK.
뭔가요?
이제 지금까지는 상황이 잘 안 나와서
Up until
아쉬웠는데
now,
오늘은
there
조금
weren't
상황이 좀 잘 나온
good
것 같아서
situation for me to play
저도
Silas, but
기용했습니다.
today was the right
네,
situation, so
사일러스를
I was able
픽하시고
to play
상대가
it.
요릭으로 응수했습니다. 아마 상대는
Well, Jin Air
사일러스
kind
상대로
of
요릭이
countered
좋다고
that with
생각해서
Yorick
픽을 했겠죠.
against
근데 사일러스가
Silas,
요릭
but
카운터 느낌으로
it was
정말
more like
라인전부터
Silas
압도하는
being
모습을
Yorick's hard
봤어요.
counter.
어떠셨어요,
You
라인전?
were having so many laning
네,
priority and
어렵지 않았고
also a lot of
그리고 굳이
priority
요리뿐만이
in the end.
아니라 사일러스는 이제 저는 하면은
Well,
소위 말하는 안 진다는
it wasn't really hard, and also it's not just Yorick specific. Just Silas is a really good champion against all the champions, and I have the confidence to win all the other champions facing up against me.
나눠볼게요.
Let's watch this replay
네,
together.
상황 설명 부탁드릴게요.
What was going on?
제가 어디죠?
Where was
여기구나.
this?
네, 저기 계십니다.
플래시를 못 써서 살짝 위험했는데
Well, I actually failed to
고스트
use my
선수가
flash,
힐을 잘
but
써줘서
Ghost was
핑퐁이 잘 되지
in the back
않았나.
and used heal for me.
위험했는데 힐을
It was a
네,
bit
힐을
risky
잘
over here, but
썼어요. 고스트 선수.
he was there to use heal for me, so I was able to survive,
그래서
and
결국
I was lucky
한 칼을
to
대승으로
win the game and also
샌드박스 게이밍
survive in
하는 거
the team
보면,
fight.
와, 전투 능력도 굉장히 좋고
And a
운영도
lot of
좋고
people are saying
판단력도
that
좋고
you guys are so good in team fights and all the macros or positioning. So, what's the focal point
이제
of
극한의
Sandbox during
핑퐁?
the
극한의
practice?
한타 싸움? 그런 부분에
I mean, we're
많이
always
신경
trying
쓰는
to
것
get the best aggro play and best team fight ability.
이 점을 많이 노력한다는
What
점
about you, though?
있으신가요?
What's your focal point during the
저는
practice?
라인전 부분에서
For
좀
me,
많이
I
그냥
try my best
대부분 아니
during the
그러니까
laning phase
못하는 점이 많아가지고
because I have a
제가
lot of
라인전부터 다
rooms
차근차근
improved so
고쳐나가도록
far.
하고 있어요.
So I'm trying
하지만
to
오늘
start with the
조이
laning phase.
르블랑 또 리산드라 라인전은 정말 잘
But today I think you had a very
2세트 얘기를
good
조이
laning
선수와 함께
phase
해볼게요.
in both game 1
상대가
and 2.
5명 엔트리를 전원 교체했어요.
Speaking of
아무래도
game
엔트리가
2,
바뀌면
Jin
뱀픽도
Air
바뀔
tried a
텐데
brand new
그렇게
entry,
5명이
subbing
대거
all
바뀌어서
5
좀
members.
당황하진 않으셨나요?
Weren't you feel confused or
당황은 안
frustrated
했는데
a little bit?
신경 쓰이는 점 하나가 이제
I wasn't
청고
really
선수가
like
제드
frustrated,
장기다
but
보니까
one thing I was
그거 하나
concerned
정도는
about was
신경
that
썼던 것 같아요.
CheonGo is a very well-known Zed player, so I was a bit aware of that.
나오는 것도 크게 문제 없었을 거라고
But it
네,
wouldn't be a big
알겠습니다.
matter, so we
두
did not
선수의
actually ban out
멋진
Zed.
2세트 경기 두 선수가 MVP를 차지했습니다. 분석 데스크에서 라이즈가 딱
During the analyst
나오자마자
desk,
빗돌님이 이거 라이즈가 왕기하고
Victory
끝나겠네 뭐
said
이런
that
얘기를
Ryze
하셨는데요.
will be so
동의하시나요?
fat and carry and close out the game. Do you agree?
게임하고 10분 정도 넘어갔을 때부터 그런 생각을 했던 것 같아요.
Well,
제가
when it
안주
was like 10 minutes around the game, I wasn't dying.
또 템이 무난하게 뜨니까
And I had a lot of
네.
items. I was
그런
scaled
생각을
enough,
했던
so
것
I knew
네,
that
두
I would
선수가
be
리드를
really
잘
performing
지켜주셨던
well
게
in
또
the late game and
승리로
will be able to close out the game.
처음에 이렐리아를 잡는 인베 장면이 있었습니다. 그때
There was
전멸했던
this
게
invade in the
결국
very
컵을
early
눌러줬는데
stage of game.
그 장면은 누가 만들어낸 건가요?
Whose call was that?
그거는 이제 제읍이 형 조커 선수가
It was
그냥
Joker's call.
즉흥적으로 그냥 상거리 있을 것 같지 않냐.
It wasn't
그럼
really
내가 가서
planned. He
속박
was
한번
like, I
날려보겠다.
think she would be at the tribush, so he was just using his hook over there, but she was there, the hook landed, and we were able to pick up the kill.
선수 굉장히 닮은 분이 있다는 걸
And
알고
lastly,
계시나요?
Though, do you know a meme about you?
약간 알고 있어요.
That somebody looked really alike?
스트리머 분이신 앰비션
Yeah, I did heard of it a lot.
앰비션 선수.
That me and Ambition
지금
look
아마
really
화면 보고
alike.
계실 텐데
I'm sure he would be watching this
부탁드려요.
LCK show, so any message for him?
뭐 반갑고요.
Hello, nice to meet you.
할말
I have
딱히
nothing
없네요.
to say.
응원해 주시면
Thank you
감사하겠습니다.
for. Well, it'd be really honored if you support me. Thank
전
you.
선수께서 도부 선수 많이 응원할 것 같습니다. 자, 다음 경기가 이제
And your
담원
next series will be up against Tamon
게이밍의
Gaming.
쇼메이커 선수가 우리 전승하겠다.
And Showmaker
그 얘기는 샌드박스도 누릴
Made
수
a big
있다는
promise that
자신감인데요.
they're going to
도부
win all the
선수가
games,
쇼메이커 선수에게
and
한
that
말씀
would include
부탁드려요.
SANDBOX as well. So any message for him?
저희가 그냥 이길 것 같아요. 1라운드.
I think we'll just win, just like the first round.
야,
It will be an
자신감
easy game.
보여주셨고요. 서밋 선수는 각오가 어떠신가요?
Would you like to add on to that
그 정도는
summit?
아닌데,
Not like that.
예,
I mean,
열심히 해서
we're gonna
저희도
try our
재밌는 경기
best
만들어서
and
이겨보겠습니다.
make sure to show great game to our fans.
다음 경기도 응원하도록 하겠습니다. 오늘 인터뷰
So this will
감사드립니다.
wrap up today's series, and I'm gonna pass it back to our casters.
네,
Thank
오늘의
you.
MVP 서비스
Thank you
선수
very much,
선수
Ji-sun.
만나봤습니다.
Great to
중계선
hear from
연결할게요.
Dove and Summit. I feel like we don't actually catch up with Dove all that often. So glad to see that he managed to pick up an MVP and we actually got to hear from him here. And feeling pretty confident up against Dumb1 Gaming, who I feel will be a very different opponent to that of Jin Air, which was a little bit of a sad one here today. Means that they are going to go down to -23. But I have a feeling when Griffin come back next week, that they should be able to equalize things here with Jin Air.
Yeah, SK Telecom's fate are sealed now that Jin Air ended up losing yet again.
Oh no.
Can't break the balance, so
Yep. There it is.
unfortunately there. But SANDBOX do end up going into second place.
Yeah, they pushed their way forward. They were in danger of slipping down to the territory of Dumb1 Gaming, would even things out, but up against Jin Air, it's not a game that you'd expect SANDBOX to lose, who have now solidified their spot in second. SKT can 2-0 their way to even footing with the SANDBOX squad yet again, but waiting for one of those to stumble when it comes to the battle of second place is actually really exciting to keep track of. Tomorrow, Speak of the Devil, Kingzone against SKT, a gigantic match is coming up second for you to round out the week. Gen.G versus Hummer Life Esports is another important one, as Hummer try and separate themselves from the bottom of the pack, currently sitting on 0 points. Really need to try and create some distance because they got to catch up to +6 in order to get to that fifth spot. So the wins need to start coming now, and Gen.G seems to be the first opponent that looks like one that's capable of being taken down.
Yeah, and there's not that many matches left, so every single game really starts to count now.
Yeah.
And we'll have to see if Gen.G can really start to pick up the pace.
That's exactly right. But guys, that's going to do it from us tonight. It'll be more Atlas and LS tomorrow, but for now, good night.
You take me higher when I feel low. Make my world brighter when I'm alone. I keep on rolling, all with your fuel. You're like my gasoline that makes my dream come true.